Okay, this particular dish, Kim's Veggie Lobster Mac and Cheese, it's going to be about a 4-course serving, and there's several ingredients in this. Basically, I'm just going to start with 2 8-ounce lobster tails. You will need to steam these. 6 ounces of broccoli florets, 1 cup of macaroni. Then we got about a quarter of a bell pepper red, a quarter of a small onion, or quarter of a medium onion I should say, ground nutmeg, hickory smoked salt optional, Mrs. Dash salt optional, and dry mustard. If you don't have dry mustard, you can use a little bit of regular mustard, and you'd only want to use maybe a 1/4 of a teaspoon if you do. Black pepper, paprika, breadcrumbs. We have 1 tablespoon of butter to saute our veggies in, and then we have a 1/2 stick of butter, and then it also calls for milk, about a 1/2 quart of milk for this, a 1/2 cup of cream of mushroom soup, 1/2 a can I should say, and then for our cheeses we're using the Gruyere cheese, and that's going to be 4 ounces, 2 ounces of Velveeta, 4 ounces of extra sharp, and then 2 to 3 ounces of a smoky cheddar. So we'll go ahead and get started. First of all, you want to have your oven preheated to 375 or 400, and you also want to have a large pot where you can mix all your ingredients up when they're done, and then you also want to have a steam pot a steam pot for your lobster and the broccoli, which actually I'm going to steam those one after the other, the broccoli being first. You want your broccoli to be steamed al dente, and then also your macaroni and cheese to be al dente, your macaroni. Basically, we have our pot here that we're going to just put our broccoli down into. I'm just going to pour that in there. It's already been cleaned and cut, and we're just going to let that steam till it gets halfway done. We don't want it to be really soft, otherwise it's going to tear up when you go to stir it in, so steam that for about 10 minutes on a boil, and that has a steamer basket in it. Okay, now we're going to pour our 1 cup of macaroni in the pot there, the boiling water. I think I'm going to add another 1/2 cup to this, so there's quite a bit of ingredients to stir up in there, and you are going to want to add about a teaspoon of oil in there so your macaroni doesn't stick, since you're cooking it al dente for about 5 to 10 minutes. What we're going to do is saute our veggies, and you want to do that so that way they don't remain firm as they're in the macaroni and cheese. So you're going to want to cook those down till they get soft, and that's what you're going to put into 1 tablespoon of butter. You're going to saute these in 1 tablespoon of butter. And I did have to beef that macaroni up since it's smaller, elbow macaroni, to 2 cups. If you're using the large macaroni for 4 serving, you only need a cup. So do keep that in mind at this point. And we're now going to put our lobster tails in here in our steam basket and just let those steam. And you're only going to want to put those in there for about 10 minutes. You don't want those to get overcooked, otherwise they'll be tough in the macaroni and cheese. So just let them steam till they're a nice reddish color, and then those will be ready to open, and then you want to take the tails out of the shells and we'll cut those up. Our first few ingredients all ready to go. We have our broccoli, our macaroni and cheese. These 2 items are al dente. We also have our sauteed 1/4 cup is what it amounts to of red bell pepper, 1/4 cup of onion, nice and soft, ready to go into the mac and cheese. One ingredient I failed to mention is a 1/4 cup of flour. And what we're going to do is make a roux with that flour and that 1/2 stick of butter. So we'll go ahead and do that now, and then we'll be ready to start our milk. Now during this time, when we make the roux, as you're doing that, the lobster tails are still steaming. You're going to want to heat up about 1/2 quart, which is about 16 ounces or 2 cups of milk in a small saucepan. Okay, now at this point we're going to put our butter down in our pot, and this is going to get it. You want to have a pot big enough. Uh-oh, I got a piece of paper in there. I don't want that. You want to have your pot big enough to where you can put your other ingredients in when it's time to mix everything up. So you do want to have a pot that's large enough. Keep that in mind. So you add your butter and then your flour. You're going to make a roux, which is basically like a thickening agent, a seasoned thickening agent. And this is where I'm going to put in my Mrs. Dash. I'm going to season this. I'm going to put in a Mrs. Dash. And this doesn't have salt in it. I know it looks like a lot, but it's a salt-free flavoring. I'm going to also add in some of my hickory smoked salt, which is a little bit of my mustard seed. And our pepper. So basically we're seasoning this, and this is going to go throughout the mac and cheese. A little bit of nutmeg. And then some paprika. And basically this is just seasoning this roux. That's all this is doing. And this is going to be kind of look like this. And that's how you want it to look. And it smells good too. Okay. Put that on a low. And I'm going to go ahead and get my milk started in another pot. Okay. Now here's the process here in which we're going to add our ingredients in here. And this is kind of like our roux. Okay. First of all, we're going to add our onions to this and our bell pepper. Turn that up a little bit. We're going to slowly add milk. As I'm doing this, I'm going to slowly be adding a little bit of milk in there. Give that a stir. Now we're going to start incorporating our cheeses in here. We'll go ahead and add our Gruyere cheese first. And this is a Swiss cheese, spelled G-R-U-Y-E-R-E. Gruyere cheese. Okay, we're going to put that in there. Then I'm going to add my Velveeta next. And it really doesn't matter which order you go in with this. It's all going to get melted down anyway. I'm going to do my soup mixture next. And remember, we're going to do about a half a can of cream of mushroom. I was checking out my lobster and I ended up having to add some crab meat in there. 2 8-ounce lobster tails don't make very much meat unless you just want a lot of mac and cheese and not very much protein, but we like protein in this household. So okay, so we have that there. We're just gonna kind of stir. Add a little bit more milk, and you might want to have a cup of milk as a reserve on the side, ready to go. I'll put our extra sharp cheddar where you can throw it in the microwave real quick if you need some more milk. You do want to put hot milk in this. You don't want it to be cold. As you can see, we're just kind of making it a sauce. A cheese sauce is what this is. And then last cheese is our smoked cheese. This is a smoked cheddar, and it's actually slices. I had it for sandwiches, but I didn't care for it much on sandwich. So, add the rest of that. So you can see this is a pretty thick, it's making a pretty thick cheese sauce is what you're making. And we want to have enough in there so we can add our other ingredients in there, which is what we're getting ready to do in a few minutes. And we just want that to be kind of smoothened out so it doesn't have a lot of large chunks in it. Like there's a piece of cheese not melted down. We want to let that melt. It's not the most appealing looking sauce, but it's good. Okay. Alright. Get me a little taste spoon here so I can check the sauce. Don't want to dip in the pot there. Okay, so we'll leave that. Okay, now at this point, we're going to be adding our last ingredients, which consists of the macaroni and cheese, or the macaroni I should say, the meat, or the fish, and then the broccoli. So as you can see with our lobster, this part is our lobster right here, and this is our crab meat. I end up having to incorporate into this dish to make it 12 ounces of protein, which equates to 4 servings. So we'll go ahead first of all and add our macaroni. And I'm just going to pour that in there. And this is 4 big servings too, looks like. Our meat. And then our broccoli. And what I'm going to do is fold this in together really well. And if it's too dry, you do want to add heated milk. You don't want to add cold milk again to this. You can see it's very cheesy. It has several cheese flavors going on. It's got the Gruyere, the smoked cheese, the 5-year sharp cheddar, and then regular Velveeta. Also it includes a 4th cup of onion, bell pepper diced up, and then sautéed, which makes it soft enough so when you bake this, you won't be eating chunks of macaroni. Your broccoli is prepared 6 ounces al dente. That way it doesn't get be too mushy in there, and then when you're stirring it up, see how it's holding together. And it may be a little firm in there when you're eating it, but it won't be like a crunchy, and it won't be mushy either. So as you can see, this is mixed up very well, and you can put this into serving dishes. And what I'm going to do is put it into a loaf pan and cook this in. And then if there's any left, I have some small loaves. Now at this point, I'm going to add a few breadcrumbs as a filler, or cracker crumbs. These are actually Ritz cracker crumbs, kind of as a filler. And then you can also put some of those on top. If you have any cheese left that you want to put on top of this when it comes out of the oven, you can do that also and add breadcrumbs on top of it with paprika for coloring. So we'll go ahead and get this dished up to go into the oven and let it do what it does. Okay, I'm just going to spray each of these with a little bit of non-stick cooking oil. Just fill these babies up. This is not the easiest thing to dish these up with, but it suffices. And then we're going to bake these on about 375, and you're basically just letting everything cook together. It's a great little dish to give a friend or neighbor, especially if you're somewhere where it's cold. Nice little comfort dish. And you don't want to overfill them so it doesn't run over. But if we have any left, we'll just, which we do, have a little bit left. I have to think of something to put that in. Alright, so we'll go ahead and put these in the oven. As I mentioned, I don't want these to overflow, but I have just a little bit left. That's all I have left, so I hate to put that in a whole nother dish. Okay, Alright, I'll keep an eye on it to make sure. It's only on 375. I don't cook on too much above that because I like to believe in cooking slow and long instead of short. And high heat quickness tends to burn things sometimes. So we'll go ahead and let this sit into the oven and do its thing. And also I'm going to put some paprika on top of there. Make it look real pretty. And we'll come back and check on it in about 30 minutes or so. And you do want to cover this with foil. Make sure you spray your foil before you put that on there. Otherwise you're going to have it stuck to all of your macaroni and cheese. Is going to be stuck on here. And these other macaroni and cheese that done fell out. I guess I better get those out of the way. We don't have that burn smell getting into our food. Get that a little bit fell out of there, a little excess. Okay. So go ahead and put these together. Put our pre-sprayed foil on top and put these in the oven again for about 30 to 45 minutes. I check on it in 30. And then if you need to leave it in there longer, you can add more cheese on the top. And here's the finished product. Just enough for me and Babe to share a plate. That's Kim's Lobster Veggie Mac and Cheese with 2 sides of garlic toast, 2 servings. Hit up the kitchen and go check it out.